So I can see that we've got a lot of people that have joined, and at risk of listening to too much of the best song ever that I think has definitely come back into our lives via both Stranger Things and TikTok itself. Just want to welcome you all to our Marketplace Live with a question and answer. I think before I jump in and go through everything, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Jasmine. I am the Client Success Manager for Europe. Effectively, that means that I help kind of guide programs, and I help adoption of TikTok Creator Marketplace, which is an excellent tool that I'm just so excited to introduce you to. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can briefly share who else is on this webinar with me. We've got Tom, Kat and Felix. I'll just hand over to Tom so he can introduce himself as well.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you. I will be answering questions on the Q&A chat whilst Jazz presents everything TikTok Creator Marketplace. I'm Tom, I'm Head of Client Success for TikTok Creator Marketplace in EMEA. So here to look after you for the next sort of 45 minutes or so. And yes, as Jazz mentioned, a couple sort of ground rules is that Jazz will primarily present everything, and then using the Q&A feature below, please feel free to ask anything and everything you'd like. We'll answer live as we go using that, and if we don't cover everything, then we usually leave some time at the end to also answer some questions live as well. So over to Felix next to quickly introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to have you all on this call. I'm Felix. I'm on the same team working mostly on growth initiatives, and I'll be here as well answering your questions. Over to you, Kat.
Thank you. And yeah, hi everybody. I'm Kat. I'm the content strategist for Europe for TikTok Creator Marketplace. And yes, same here as well, here to help and answer any questions that you might have. And yeah, enjoy the webinar. There's quite a few of us on the call, so good luck to Jasmine and the team.
Amazing. Thanks everyone for introducing, and thanks again for everyone that's joined. Over 300 participants is excellent. I do just want to add, just to add to Tom's point around the chat feature and the Q&A, please do use the Q&A box, not the comment box. We're not going to be able to use the chat feature. We're just going to be monitoring the Q&A. So any questions as we go through, please do have a look. It's on the right hand side of your screen. And if there's any questions, we'll be monitoring those. Now, before we jump in, I also want to add that you are all muted, that's so that we don't have any disturbances or anything else. And if there is anything that we can't answer in the sort of 30-40 minutes that we have set aside for this, please reach out to your TikTok rep, or you can also go to the help desk and the help function on TTCM itself. So I'm going to jump straight into it. I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully the internet gods will be on our side and we'll be all good to kind of take you around this fantastic tool. So I think we should all be able to see my screen, and I'll just jump straight in. So TikTok Creator Marketplace, I might refer to this as TTCM in the next half an hour just for ease. It's a free platform that allows brands to connect directly with TikTok creators. I always think of it as a one-stop shop of sorts that allows sort of what was previously quite complex, a little bit simpler, and makes it a little bit easier to kind of reach out to some of the top creators that we have. I'm obviously, as I've mentioned earlier, very excited to talk you through it. It's actually quite a new platform for TikTok. So it goes without saying that once after this demo, you go back and you start playing around with it and you set yourself up yourself. It might be worth, if there's ever any feedback that you have, please do reach out and share it. We want to make it the best that it can be. Before I go in and start sort of playing around this sort of in general, I do want to talk through what I'm going to do for the next sort of 20 minutes or so. This is what happens when you go to creatormarketplace.tiktok.com. This is the homepage that you see. So I want to make sure that I kind of touch on the most essential parts of it. So I'll spend a bit of time talking you through the My Activity section, the creator search section, the shortlist section, and as well as create campaign. But I think something that I often hear about, and I think the most important thing to sort of set everything up with, is on the right hand side, you'll see that there is this section here. And if you click in your account settings, this is where you'll find something that I use all the time, which is your user ID. If you ever have any questions about this product, always start on the right hand side and always find your user ID, because this is your unique part of your account and it's a way that we can always help and support you. So just wanted to jump into that before I go into all of the details of how best to use the platform. But anyway, without any further ado, let's jump straight in. Once again, if there are any late joiners, we're just going to go straight into all of the things around the demo, and I'm sharing my screen to do so. But if you have any questions whatsoever, please use the Q&A button at the below. I'm also just going to stop sharing my video so that I can jump straight in and I don't distract in case there's any internet issues my side. So I'm going to start with the My Activity tab. So My Activity is effectively your dashboard, where on the left-hand side, you've got the dashboard, which is where you can see sort of best practice guidelines. You've got the campaign management section, which is once you have published a campaign, you can basically manage end-to-end what is happening in all of your campaigns. You can see which creators have accepted your campaign invitation. You can see which creators have completed. It's also where you can track, the first version of a creator's content. You've got the campaign reporting section, which is where once you have completed any of your campaigns, you can see a really granular, really detailed report. I think something that is so great about TikTok Creator Marketplace is that it's all data directly from TikTok, which effectively means that you're getting really detailed breakdowns. You can see sort of the cumulative views of a piece of content. You can see by day, you can just get so much insight. I am using a demo account, but I'm sure that if you go through this process, you'll be able to start seeing how brilliant the reporting feature is. It's also worth mentioning that once you have a report on TTCM, you can also export this into an Excel document, which means that whatever data and whatever insight and whatever learnings you can get from TTCM, you can actually download and have that ready. It's a really useful feature. I'm also going to touch on this last option here. It's called Creator Marketplace Pay. Now, this is a relatively new feature. At the moment, it's available, and I'm just speaking on behalf of Europe, in the UK and I believe France as well. So it is worth noting that if you are going through and maybe you're following along live, you might not necessarily have this function if you're not in the territories I just mentioned, but effectively, this is where you can upload actual credit and then you can pay your creators. So it really becomes an end-to-end marketplace where you commission content effectively on the platform, and you also can do an end-to-end direct payment of creators as well. So just wanted to touch on that because I know that we might have some joiners from the UK, for example. But anyway, the dashboard, I guess the My Activity tab, is where you will spend a lot of time once you have published a campaign. But you might be wondering why I've started to kind of go through the My Activity tab when we haven't even got creators, because of course, for every creative campaign, you will need creators. So now I'm going to talk you through the creator search, which is personally one of my favorite features of TTCM. And the reason I love it is because it's effectively a catalogue of creators. We have over 500,000 creators on the platform, so that's obviously a huge number. I think it's worth just sharing that this is where you can spend a hell of a lot of time. I would always say that if perhaps you or perhaps your client is new to TikTok and certainly new to TTCM itself, this is a great place to kind of understand creators. It's a great place to see what kind of creators are on TikTok and TTCM. And it's a real place of learning. I know that I can only speak for myself. I love TikTok, obviously, but I have learned so much about how the difference between organic and branded content just by looking through the creator search tab. So enough of me talking about it. Let me give you a little bit of insight on what it actually is. So to basically sign up to TTCM, a creator, TikTok creator, will need to have 10,000 followers. That can slightly differ territory by territory, but on the whole, that's the average that we say. You might notice that there's creators that perhaps you've used before on previous campaigns that aren't on TTCM, and that might be that, you know, they haven't yet invited themselves to join the platform. But what we can do is, say, for example, there are creators that you'd absolutely love to see. If they hit that criteria, we can always try and get them on as well. But effectively, creators on here have a minimum of 10,000 followers, and also genuinely and generally, as you would expect, comply with TikTok guidelines and rules. The tab in general, or the creator search tab, can be accessed in two ways. You either click on creator search and it takes you to the catalog, or you can use this search functionality on the left-hand side here. I absolutely love using this search tool, but I'll come on to it at the end. And at first, I'll just show you how to use all of the filters that the catalog or the creator search has. And I'm going to do that by clicking on this tab here, which says more filters. So you can search via creator, country and region, audience, country and region. You can use a search in terms of followers. You can do that in terms of average views. I wouldn't be myself if I didn't say that followers aren't always the best metric for kind of guaranteeing sort of a successful piece of content. Instead, I would always encourage, if you want to have a sense check of what performs well, have a look at engagement rate. I always say that an engagement rate of around 8% is a good sense of engagement rate. So keep that in mind when you're using the filters and when you're exploring profiles. Obviously, at the end of the day, we always want you to work with the most exciting creators possible. So always have a look and think sort of content first versus metric first. That would always be how I would suggest doing it. But if you wanted to, you can, of course, search via these filters here. You can also filter via brand experience. So that could be expert. So those that have a little bit of experience in working with brands, or emerging. So perhaps that's an up and coming creator who wants to be more involved with brands as well. That's a relatively new feature. Again, some of these features might show, some of them might not, depending on what market you are, but on the whole, just want to talk through everything. You also have this fantastic toggle here, which I think is so unique to TikTok and kind of how TikTok operate, which is only show fast growing creators. Now, this means that, say, for example, if you really want to get involved with a trend setting or kind of a real trending creator, you can filter by putting this toggle on as well. So it's a really nice way to sort of tap into what we all know TikTok is incredibly popular for. Then we've got topics. So I just want to spend a moment just talking through what these topics mean. So topics are essentially tags. There are loads of them. This is how creators are effectively tagged. So for example, you could be a beauty creator that maybe also works, has done partnerships with bags or tattoos or things like that. But effectively they're tags, and they're a way that we or you can kind of search through creators. On the whole, because there are so many different tags and there are so many different ways that you can kind of filter, I would suggest using loads of different topics or loads of different tags and selecting as many as possible versus just using one specifically, or leaving these blank and actually using the search functionality. The reason I say this is because creators on TikTok work so uniquely. You could be a beauty creator who, yes, has an interest in body art and bags and whatever else, but you might also be a comedian. You might also have a fascination with running. And you can see, just as I talk through this, I guess, example, non-existent creator profile, how many different tags that creator would fall into. So it's really important, and I guess from a client success point of view, to always think about how broad your search can be, to make sure you are discovering excellent talent at all points and you're not limiting your search. So that's just a bit of insight, but again, completely up to you how you want to search. Then you've got audience gender, audience age, and audience device, which you can also filter by. Just a little thing on this is that TikTok and TikTok Creator Marketplace do not have any data on anyone under the age of 18. So when you are searching through this, you won't be able to say, for example, if you're looking to target 15 or 16-year-olds, you won't be able to get that insight here. So do just want to touch on that, just so that you are aware when you're going through it that there's a reason that it's 18 plus. So those are all of your filters. But like I mentioned, there's another way that you can also search. And one thing that I would suggest is you play around with both, and you see for yourself what draws the most creators to you. But for example, if I wanted to search beauty, I could use this keyword, and then I have this ability to search within videos, within names, and within profiles. I want to sort of highlight that if there's one thing that you take away from this section, it's the ability to use a keyword here and then search within videos. And I'll show you why. By searching within videos, the catalog will then present every video, not every creator, but every video that has that keyword included at the forefront of the catalog profile that you'll see here. It's a fantastic tool because it allows you to have a really quick search. So say, for example, and I'll keep in the theme of beauty, you have a mascara that you're trying to launch, and you really want to go through this process, but you don't have that much time. It's a really quick turnaround. So you probably don't have the time to click through every profile. What you can then do by clicking on videos is that every profile that's then brought to the front of the creator profile, so every video, sorry, that's brought to the front will include that keyword. So for example, on this creator, these videos included the word beauty, and you can go through and you can just look directly at their content. You don't have to click into their profile just to get an idea of the kind of creatives that they have created by using that keyword. So it's a really useful tool. And you'll get a range of things that do come up there. You can also search with a name, so that might be that the word beauty is included in their name, or in profiles, so that's the bio or the description that a creator has used to describe themselves. So it's, again, a very useful way of getting a lot of insight and getting a lot of return to your search quite quickly. What I'll do now is I'll actually just take a moment and go back to this original sort of cleared creator profile, because I think it would be worth jumping in from the creator catalog into a creator profile. What I'll do is sort of go down and kind of also show you that you'll see that there are some creators here that have a little lightning bolt on them. That might mean they're very responsive. So again, if you've got a quick turnaround, it's one way that you can actually ensure that you can get feedback quite quickly. What I'll do is, before I jump into what a creator profile looks like, I'll actually touch into the shortlist tab. So the shortlists are effectively a way that you can save creators. So if I click into an example list, you can see that I've got a list of creators that are now side by side. So a question that often comes up as I go through the creator catalog is, there are so many creators, how do I save them, and how do I make sure that I don't forget about them? And one way that you can do that is just by creating these shortlists. I've got so many different examples on here, but I think what's important to share is that you can kind of see side by side a nice view of what the creators look like. You can also share this shortlist with another creator marketplace user as well. So it's one way that you can ensure, I guess, in some way that you're keeping track of the creators you're working with. You can see side by side a little bit about the creators, but ultimately it's just a great way to really kind of have a reference and share internally, perhaps with your team, the kind of creators that you want to work with or that you think are very good. So just wanted to touch on that, because I know that you might be asking how to kind of save creators. But anyway, back to the catalog. If you sort of like the look of what a creator looks like, you can jump into any of their profiles. I'll just jump into this as an example. If you click on it, a new tab automatically opens, and on the left-hand side, you get an overview of the creator. On the right-hand side, you get a lot of insight. So I'll jump into Steph Fit as an example. So on the left-hand side, like I mentioned, you've got sort of their top line statistics. You can see their top audience segments. You can see that there's this button here that says add to a shortlist. So that's just what I mentioned, and you can just add straight away. You can put a comment if you want and save them. And then on the right-hand side, you've got a large amount of data. So you've got the core metrics, sample videos, audience demographics, performance trends, and similar creators. It's worth noting here that a real key point of difference with TTCM is not only do you get their core metrics, but you also get a little bit of insight. So for example, under engagement rate, like I mentioned earlier, 8% is what I would say is a usual good measure of engagement. Here you can see that they reach that engagement rate percentage, but they've also got a little bit of insight below that says top 54% compared to similar creators. So already by using TTCM, you get that additional bit of insight that helps you understand specifically to TikTok what works. So you get that in the whole core metrics section. If you continue to go down, you get sample videos. So not only can you see the most recent and most popular videos that creator has shared, and with that you can also click straight through on TTCM, but you can also, where a creator has created branded content, click on branded content videos. This is a great way to see side by side within sort of a one-page space what the kind of content looks like organically and what it looks like when it's brand funded. So it's a really good way of learning. Something that I love about TikTok, obviously, is that our content looks very unique, and creator content is always so like original and often just feel so authentic to themselves. So this is a great way to sort of see that, I guess, in practice. But if you want to just get to know your creator a little bit more, you can click on this See More tab in the right-hand corner. This will take you directly to the profile, where not only can you see what their content looks like, but you can kind of see what their content on the whole will look like and where your ad might perhaps be, and you can really get a gauge of who the creator is that you will be working with. If you can continue to go down, you get the audience demographics as well: gender, age, usage, and device. You get their top 3 countries and regions. So on this, if you're looking at creators that are in the States, you'll actually get the top 3 states as well. And then you can see performance trends. So that's followers, follower growth rate, video views, engagement rate, etc. So again, you can really understand if this creator is going in a trajectory that you would like to partner with. Finally, you have similar creators. Now here on every single creator profile, you get 9 suggestions. And this is another really handy way that TTCM allows you to go through a search quite quickly. And then you'll get 9 similar creators here. So perhaps if I want to work with Amelia Dims at the same time that I want to work with Steffert in this example campaign, I can then, as I mentioned earlier, add them to any shortlist. And then have them saved and ready to perhaps present to my fictional team that I'm talking about. Or perhaps there's a new campaign that I want to start, and maybe that's going to be an August campaign. I can create a list, and then I can do so that way as well. So again, it's just a really useful, quite self-explanatory platform to use. So that is the My Activity tab that we've gone through, the Creator Search tabs that we've gone through, the Shortlist tab that we've gone through. And now I'm going to spend the last 5 minutes or so just talking through creating campaigns themselves. Now, obviously, TikTok Creator Marketplace is a fantastic, I guess, hub of all things TikTok Creator, and it grows more and more week on week. But obviously, I can imagine a lot of you want to know how you would set up a campaign on TTCM. So keen to sort of talk this through. Before I start, you'll see on the right-hand side that you can actually directly add all the creators that you've saved in your shortlists into this as you go through the process. This is why I think it's always useful for me to spend a bit of time, as I did, talking through the shortlist section, because all you then need to do as you build your campaign is just go through which list you want to talk through or want to include creator-wise, and you can just press the plus button. And then all of your creators will appear here. So just wanted to touch on that first. But now I'll talk through how you set up a TTCM campaign. I think it's important here to note that if, say, for example, there are things that I maybe mentioned that perhaps you haven't had the chance to write down throughout TTCM, and especially throughout the campaign build experience, you have these little I buttons which give you a little bit of guidance on what you need to include. So don't panic if perhaps you think you might have missed something. So under brand info, surprisingly, you share everything about your brand, industry, logo, website, etc. You also will include a lead contact name. So this, in my case, would be my name followed by my email address. But perhaps you're a company that have your own social media team and you find it a little bit better to have your WhatsApp information or your Instagram information, for example, as a way of contacting creators. You have that option to include that here. So don't worry if that's your preference, but the only thing that you need to continue to the next step is everything that's marked with a red dot. And in this case scenario, it's all of this above, and then just the name and the email address. You also have the option to share contact information with creators only after they accept your campaign. I always suggest this as a way to allow for a little bit more control, but again, it's completely up to you on how you would like to proceed. On the campaign info, you get to choose a campaign objective. So for example, that could be increased website traffic, perhaps it could be to encourage downloads, but you have to share an objective here. You then have this build, which is where you fill out everything you need to know about the campaign, or your creator needs to know about the campaign. So that's the name of the campaign, when does it start, so when is the live date, the name of the product images. So again, referring to my earlier example of mascara, have examples of what that mascara looks like. Then you've got a product description. So this is just a short overview of what that product does. You also can set a price, gift free products, and if you gift free products, please do include what those products are and the quantity, or you can negotiate with creators. Now, we always recommend negotiating with creators on TTCM, so I would suggest that, unless obviously you want to go with a price. And finally, and I just want to draw, I guess, again, most attention in this section to this campaign description. Always think of the campaign description that you fill in as your campaign outreach message, because this box here is actually what the creator, so up to 50 creators at a time, that's the message that your creator will receive in their TikTok inbox. So although it says campaign description, make sure that you don't put the overview of the brief in this section, but you actually just use a template or create your own custom template that says who you are, who you're reaching out on behalf of, and kind of keep the message quite over, I guess, a bit of an overview and quite generic. I think just on this, and I'll once again use this, I guess, mascara example. If I was reaching out to someone, I would always say, hi, I'm from this mascara company. I absolutely love your profile. I love the content that you create, and I would love to work with you or collaborate with you. What I wouldn't do is specifically mention a piece of content that one of the 50 creators has done recently. I also wouldn't refer to any names whatsoever, because again, as much as there is always a chance that everyone will have the same name, there's always you've got to keep it as open and as general as possible. I know that's quite an obvious thing to say, but I always think it's worth sharing that you keep it very open, because all 50 creators will be receiving that message at the same time. If you do want to share a brief or anything like that, you can do so by clicking in the upload message, and then you can say in your campaign description or your campaign outreach message, please do refer to the attachment for more information. But on the whole, campaign description is a short, sweet message that gets your creators' attention. Finally, just going to talk through this customized flow as well. So TTCM has very cleverly, in this customized flow section, built what what your flow will look like. And you have the option to kind of add in additional elements, should I say. So in the flow, so it starts with creator accept invite, then you can also include discuss payment and collaboration details, which will allow, again, that little bit more control over sort of reaching out to creators and negotiating. Then the creator will upload a video for review, TikTok will review the uploaded video, then the brand reviews the uploaded video, the creator will post videos, and then you have this option here that says promote using Spark ads. Again, if there's one thing that you take away from the customized flow section, it's that I would always suggest selecting everything. And in particular, the reason I think the promote using Spark ads is a very good additional thing to have is it basically means you can pre-request creator authorization for any sparking of the content that they create. So say, for example, you work with a creator and they create a piece of content that's fantastic, but you haven't pre-requested authorization at this stage, you then have to go back to the creator and then sort of renegotiate, which of course in a dream world, these things don't take that long, but sometimes they take a little bit longer. If you at this stage click on this option here and you request creator authorization, the advantage that you have in this is in whatever fee and whatever deal that you make, and before they go off and they create their fantastic asset for you, they've already accepted and included in that they confirm that they can have their content sparked, whether that's for 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, or 365 days, which means that you can immediately spark that content as and when it performs fantastically in one of these things. So it's just worth gearing yourself up for success. And to do so, I would always suggest to have this option selected. It just means that you can do things as effectively and as efficiently as possible. And then here, you come to the end of the creation of your campaign. You would have completed all of this. You would have added up to 50 creators to it, and you can either save it as a draft. So perhaps you want to have someone in your team review that or something else, or you can publish it straight away. As soon as you publish it, you'll see that when you go back into your My Activity tab under the campaign management, which is what we initially went through at the beginning, you'll be able to see which creators are pending, active, have completed, or in some cases have cancelled their campaign. So this is where you manage everything. So I believe that takes us to the end of my demo. I hope that this has been useful. And what we'll do now is we'll answer some of those questions that you might have. But I hope that was all clear.
We've had quite a few questions along the way, which hopefully you'll see between myself, Felix and Kat. We've been trying our best to quickly answer. There is a lot here. I was in the process of responding to Natalie, so I'll talk this one through in terms of logging into TTCM as an agency. The short answer is yes. TTCM is available for brands and agencies. So all you'll need either as brand or agency is key company information, such as tax and company registration number. You upload that when you create an account, and that is called business verification. And we usually approve those business verifications within a matter of days. And then you are free to start looking at all of the creators on TTCM within the region of your business verification. So hopefully that answers that, Natalie. I can see another one here from Sebastian, similar, agency and multiple brands. Yes, in the short term, we would suggest if you're an agency or a big parent company with lots of brands, to set up a TTCM account per brand. Usually a lot easier that way, because whether you're an agency or a big parent company, you will always have teams and separate teams that manage each brand. So we would always suggest, at least for now, to create a TTCM account per brand. It is worth noting that in the future, we are testing a feature with a select number of clients, which will allow multiple logins. So that is something which is underway, and we are testing that, and we hope to roll that out in greater detail. But for now, I'm assuming everyone wants to get started now, then please create an account separately for each brand.
Absolutely. I've seen that there's a question here regarding negotiating with creators. So as I guess this came up as I was talking through the catalogue of creators. So you'll see that there are fees associated with some creators on their creator tab per video, and you'll see that others say negotiate. I would always say that none of these fees are specifically set. This is what a creator shares as sort of a benchmark. But if there's a creator that you want to work with, I would advise that you still reach out to them and say that you're open to negotiating, because you never know, if they really want to work with you and your brand, then perhaps they could be open to a slightly different fee. But on the whole, I would always say reach out. They're certainly not fixed on the whole.
I've also seen quite a few questions about market availability for TTCM. There must be a very big Nordics contingent on the line, because I think Sweden and Norway are very popular here. I would suggest that you reach out to your key TikTok representative, whether that's in GBS or whoever you have primarily been speaking to for your previous campaigns. If you don't have a TikTok rep, then please email, I would suggest Jasmine, who will have sent you the invite, and we can facilitate you the best way of finding who your local point of contact is. We are always launching TTCM in new markets, and Nordics is certainly one of those. We often give more general dates that are by quarter rather than specific. So without going through every region which TTCM is available in on this call, I would suggest simply getting in touch with your key rep or Jasmine, and we can pick up separately on what the timetable looks like for that region. But at least for now, key countries are open, such as UK, Germany, France, Spain, etc., like that.
Absolutely. And just on that, I've seen a lot of questions come up around setting up an account and things like that. There is, if you go onto TikTok Creator Marketplace, there is a section which actually includes all of the answers around setup and verification and things like that. I'm aware that there are so many brilliant people on this call that have joined, and I just want to say that obviously we want to help all of you, but your best place to actually go onto TTCM itself and go to the help center, because the help center does include answers to setting up, how to do so, which accounts will be, how to verify accounts and things like that. So please do go there as your first point of call, but obviously reach out to your TikTok rep or us, and we are always here to help. I think we probably have time to answer maybe one more question if anyone can see a question that they can answer. There are so many here. It's so great to see.
I was just going to cover pricing very quickly. I've seen a lot of different questions on pricing. So when creators register for Creator Marketplace, they have the option of including a sort of average price per TikTok. So on Creator Marketplace, you will see those figures. As you can expect, they are base level, of course, depending on your brief, how quickly you need content, the usage rights you're looking for, the complexity of the brief. Creators will obviously plus and minus their average fee, and many creators won't have uploaded an average fee. So I think, as Jasmine showed, make sure that you always put price on negotiation when setting up a campaign, and you are open to negotiate with creators on that price as well. We don't offer guidelines or base rates as a company. We put the power in the creator's hands and facilitate that discussion between creator and brand.
Absolutely. And just one last thing, I know that I touched on at the very beginning, but just in case on the topic of pricing, just a reminder that TTCM is available. It is a free platform to use, whether or not you want to spark your content. Obviously, we are always here to say that sparking content and gearing yourself up for that success is certainly where we would want to advise, but it is a free platform to use. I'm mindful that we've just hit the 1:10 time, and I don't want to take up anyone's time. I know that we've booked this in. Just wanted to say a huge thank you for joining and taking the time out today. I hope you've learned things. As we've mentioned earlier, if you have any questions that haven't been answered, I'm so mindful that there have been so many questions that have come in. Like I say, your first point of call is your TTCM Help Center, which you can find by going onto TTCM, and in that right-hand corner that I showed you earlier in the presentation, there is a section that says Help Center, or please do reach out to your TikTok rep. But thank you all. I hope you've learned lots, and I am excited to hear all about the wonderful campaigns that you create. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.